All right, so you've got a big event. You want to look good. You go over to your closet and you pull it out. Time to suit up. Unfortunately, your expectations do not match reality. Now, the reality is a great fitting, high quality suit can only do so much. But unfortunately, when it comes to suits, most guys don't know what to look for. And even if you're paying high dollar, the shop that sells it to you can still mess things up. So, how not to look bad in a suit? Gents, these are the 6 things you need to know. Now, the problem with fit, especially on a suit that's been sitting in your wardrobe for a year or two, is that your body can change over time. And gents, it's important to make sure that that suit is fitted to adjust the body you have, not the body you want. Now, the good news is if we're just talking 10 to 15 pounds, most suits are going to be easily adjusted by taking them to a tailor. So if you lost 10 pounds around the midsection, great, let's bring that suit in. Let's show off your fit body. If you gain 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 pounds, most suit jackets come with a little bit of excess material on the inside that they can let them out about 1 inch to 1.5 inches and help to make sure that that suit buttons up when you stand. But when buying a suit, there are some key areas that it should fit because they are very difficult to adjust, and even if you gain or lose weight, they aren't going to change much. The first up is the fit in the shoulders. Now, as you can see here in this side-by-side comparison, a suit that is way too large, and most men, if they're going to err on one side, they're going to go here, you're going to see that the shoulder points are going to go way past, and they're just going to make the suit look droopy. You don't want to go for this look, and you never want to buy a suit that fits like this because it's pretty much impossible to adjust. Now, the opposite is when you buy a suit that's a little bit too small in the shoulders. Most guys don't do this because it makes the suit very difficult to even put on, and most guys can feel that, hey, I need probably a bigger size. Now, what if you're in a store and trying on all these suit jackets and you can't find one that fits you in the shoulders? A couple of things. Try a different brand. Yeah, you're going to find different brands use different models, and the fit in the shoulder can be slightly different. But also, don't be afraid to look at different types of shoulder fit. You're going to find that some shoulders are really built up. They're going to be very structured, very rigid. These are going to be more formal jackets. Other suit jackets, the Neapolitan style, are going to feel more natural, are going to have less padding. These are great if you spend a lot of time in the gym, or you want a jacket that isn't as pronounced in the shoulder, or you don't want a strong jacket shoulder point. In any case, remember when you're trying on a jacket, it has to fit you in the shoulders. Now, what about the pieces of clothing that support the suit? Your shirt in particular. Gents, if you're looking for a shirt that's going to work with sports jackets that you can wear alone as a polo, one that's versatile yet has a strong collar that you don't have to worry about, gents, check out today's sponsor, Collars & Co. Now, gents, for coming in on 2 years now, I've been talking about Collars & Co. because I love what these guys do. Collars & Co. was founded on the belief that a man didn't have to compromise when it comes to looking good. Whether you're wearing a polo shirt, whether you're wearing a shirt that you want to wear under a sports jacket, a suit jacket, a blazer, you want to layer with a sweater, and you don't want that collar to fail you, to look bad. And the guys at Collars & Co. didn't stop there. They saw, hey, you know what? You need a 4-way stretch. You want that material to be comfortable. We want to make sure it's moisture wicking. We'll do that as well. And gents, when you go over to the website, you're not only going to see they've got all different types of collars. They've got the English spread, the semi-spread, the Oxford button down. They've got cutaway collars, some of my favorites, by the way. But over at Collars & Co., they've got your classic colors in white, navy, pink, blue, but they've also got a wide range of pattern shirts. Choose from quarter zip, pullovers, crew necks, and V-necks. They're super versatile, reasonably priced, and I love how you can wear them for most of the year. All that being said, gents, what I've always loved about this company is that they saw a problem and they created an amazing solution. That's why these guys got a $1 million investment from Mark Cuban on Shark Tank, and to this day, when you see Mark Cuban out there doing interviews, oftentimes he's wearing a Collars & Co. shirt because they're comfortable, because they make him look good, and that combination there, gents, is unbeatable. And by the way, gents, this deal is not going to be around forever, so go check them out. Collars & Co., an awesome company, proud to work with them. Next up, let's talk about the fit in the chest and the fit in the waist. These are slightly different, but a skilled tailor is going to be able to bring them in about 1.5 inches at most. And on the flip side, but depending on how much material is on the inside of the jacket, a skilled tailor can also let out the jacket about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. This is if it fits you well in the shoulders, but maybe a little bit tight in the stomach or chest area. Now, fit is a very personal thing. Some people like it a little bit looser. Some people like it closer. I like just to be able to move, but I do like my jackets to feel a little bit closer. So while I'm standing, I just button the front of the jacket and I should be able to fit my hand right up in between the button and my chest. Now, when you put the jacket on, you may notice that there are rolls in the back or the collar goes down. This is actually a relatively easy fit for a skilled tailor. All they have to do is right underneath the back collar, either let out a little bit of material or bring it in. And the same thing with the sleeve length, assuming that you don't have surgeon cuffs, which will limit the adjustment to about 3/4 of an inch. But if if you have buttons that come off on the sleeve, which most jackets do, that'll allow you to lengthen or shorten the sleeve by at least 1 3/4 inches. Lastly, let's talk about the length of the jacket. This is really important. The jacket should basically cover the curvature of your buttocks, and or when you put your hands down, it should go to about the length of your knuckles. Give or take 1 inch, you're going to be fine, although on shorter men, I find that they've got less leeway. But again, if you're spending the money, get what you want. Most manufacturers actually make suits that are a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. Now, the jacket by far requires more skill to adjust, but for some reason, a lot of guys forget to adjust their trousers. Seriously, gents, by working with a tailor, not only can he make sure that he gets the hem right, and remember, when it comes to the hem, you got options here. You got quarter break, you've got full break, you've got half break, you could go with no break. But if you try on those trousers, they fit you well in the waist, but maybe a little bit too much material back in the buttocks area, or not enough, it's an easy fix for a tailor to go in there and to let out a little material or to bring it in. Gents, this one detail separates the boys from the men when it's time to suit up. Now, the next reason so many guys look bad in suits, especially those maybe they've been sitting in the closet for a couple years, is because they bought a suit whose style does not suit their body. Now, if you go simple, if you go classic, if you go with a style that's been around for 50 years, guess what? You probably don't have anything to worry about. If you go with a classic 2-button suit with notched lapels and a charcoal gray or navy blue fabric, most likely you have nothing to worry about. However, if you bought a suit during that period of skinny lapels, or right now we're starting to see wider lapels, all of a sudden, if you fall into one of these fashion trends you buy from a house, it may look good now because you're caught in this trend. You see other people wearing it, but the problem here is that this suit will not stand up to the test of time. So my best advice here is to go with classics. Once you've got that down and maybe you start to wear suits more often, then that's when you can go into fashion suits knowing that, hey, this is probably going to go out of style. This fit, this cut, the placement of these buttons is going to place this suit in a certain time period, and it's not going to be something I'm going to want to wear in 5 to 10 years. Now, this next detail is a little bit harder to spot to the naked eye, but if you look inside, you look at actually what the suit is made of, you start to feel it. Maybe you go into a finer menswear store. And a quick tip here, I always recommend go into the best menswear store in your area. If you're traveling, go into a high-end menswear store. Maybe you can't afford it, but you know what? You're going to learn a lot by touching and looking. You're going to see the way the fabrics drape. This is basically the way that they lay, the way that they float whenever you're holding them in your hand. You're going to notice higher-end suits are typically made from a very fine worsted wool. In a nutshell, this is a very tightly wound wool that's very soft to the touch, and it just drapes, hangs very nicely. Cheaper suits are going to oftentimes have synthetic materials in them because it saves on cost, and they're going to use materials that just don't drape well. Occasionally, they've even got a little bit of a sheen to them, a little bit of a shine. Now, gents, I want to be clear. I don't have anything against synthetic materials in suits nowadays, especially when we see performance suits, suits that have a little bit of stretch, but this needs to be the angle for the suit. If they're putting it in there just to save money, this isn't a good thing, because if they're trying to save money on the fabric, you can bet that they also tried to save money in the construction. And this is something you can't see because most jackets you can't open up the lining, but I would look at how are the shoulders constructed? What type of a chest piece do we have right here? I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but understand higher end suits, and we're talking when you're spending over $1,000, some under $1,000 depending on the company, they're going to have what's known as a floating canvas. A floating canvas, as the name implies, is actually where the chest piece actually moves a bit, and this ensures you get a better fit when you put the suit on. Cheaper suits, on the other hand, are using a fused canvas. That's where they're going to use a glue on the inside, and it saves a lot of money, but over time, especially after a few dry cleanings or just simply exposure to the elements, all of a sudden it's going to start to bubble, and it never looks good. So, how to make sure you get quality? Well, first up, ask, because people that spend in those companies that spend a lot of money on the construction, on the materials, they love to brag. Now, what about colors? What about patterns? So again, if you're just starting off, go with the simples. Navy, charcoal gray. A lot of people think this is boring. No, when it fits you, you can have fun with the shirt, you can have fun with the accessories, you can bring in pocket squares, all this other stuff, which by the way, will make the suit and enhance it. But think of those as just like spices, those little bit of flavors. You got to start off with a good product. One of the most important things besides the fit and the silhouette, which we hit earlier, is going to be that color. Nothing wrong with that, especially if it's your second, third, fourth, fifth suit, going with the true blue, going with window pane pattern. Maybe you want to go with a chalk stripe, a pinstripe, or you want to go with a suit in a little bit bolder of a color, maybe a dark green, maybe a light blue. The key here is to understand that there isn't a wrong choice. There are just wrong choices for people and their limitations. Let's say you can only own one suit and you've got an event, two events smacked right next to each other. You're going to see some of the same people. If you have a navy suit that fits you well, nobody's going to notice really that you wore the same suit. Just you looked great both times. But if you go with that suit that's a bit bolder, it's got that pinstripe, all of a sudden everyone remembers that suit and yeah, you don't have as many options. Now I mentioned accessories a little bit earlier. We're talking shirts, we're talking neckties, pocket squares, shoes, all the things that go with the suit. Now, do you need to spend big money on your accessories? No, especially if you went with a modest or a budget suit. But when you start to upgrade the suit, this gets expensive because all of a sudden you want to make sure that everything else works. Think of this like a chain, and it's only as strong as its weakest link. So a well-fitted quality suit that, let's say, is over $1,000. You want to make sure that you've got shoes that work with it. Probably going to be at least a few $100s. You want to make sure that you've got a really nice silk necktie. You've got a dress shirt that's probably going to cost you anywhere from $100 to close to $200. Again, if you don't get it on sale, you can find some great deals out there. My point being is all of these accessories, you want them to be at about the same level. Because if you have all of this and then you're wearing a really cheap watch, or you throw in a really cheap pocket square that just looks off, that came with a kit that matched a necktie with the pocket square, that is just going to tear down the whole look, and it's going to make the outfit as a whole look cheap and not well put together. Which, by the way, if you didn't know, you don't want to wear a matching tie pocket square combination. When those are sold, that's an abomination. No, instead you want items to complement each other. As you can see, a little bit of rules, a little bit of science to it, also a little bit of art and having fun. Now, this next point is often overlooked, but you want to find excuses to wear your suit. Seriously, if you only wear a suit when you have to, maybe once every couple years, guess what? You're wearing a costume. You're not used to how it fits. You're not used to how it looks. You're not used to getting compliments in it. I mean, heck, that Halloween costume that you use again and again is getting more use than your actual suit. And if that's the case, that's an issue because you're not building up the confidence. You don't know how it's going to fit and feel when you pull it out of the bag, out of storage. So find excuses, find ways to be able to dress up and to get used to looking good, to feeling good, and to make sure that suit fits you properly. And to go into more about that, guys, I got you covered on this video right here. Oh yeah, check it out. Boom. Come on. Yeah.